Ладно. После того, как мы придумаем наше название, давайте поиграем в ускоренный RuneScape. Итак, наше потрясающее название доступно. Нет ничего лучше обычного лысого парня в желтой рубашке и зеленых штанах. Вот черт, я думаю, что выгляжу как бот. Ну что же. Ладно. Прокрутка пацами на мобильном телефоне немного неудобно. К тому же у меня очень маленький экран. Как заговорить с кем-то? Oh. Okay, so the first word, потрясающий. We knew this from some Russian commenters on YouTube videos going потрясающий, and it's translated literally as probably shocked because we knew this as я потрясен, I'm shocked. But потрясающий, right? It means awesome by itself as an adjective. And the word доступно means available. You can think of it as the Stoop, which is a rugby club in the UK, is available. Oh, like the Stoop, it's available. The Stoop, доступно. By itself means it's by itself, right? The adjective should just be доступный. But an example of this would be номер телефона доступно в Instagram. This telephone number is available for Instagram. So доступно. Quick quiz. How do you say amazing or shocking in Russian? Потрясающий. How do you say available in Russian? Доступный. Now, in the earlier example, we have like the genitive case for Lysого парня, like the baldness of this dude. But by itself, the bald guy would be Лысый парень or Лысый мужик, right? Just a bald dude. Лысый парень. And to remember this, think of the opposite of волосы, right? Волосы is hair. And if it's just Лысый, right? It's not very лысый, it's Лысый. You have to remember that. Волосы Лысый парень. A dude with no hair is just going to be bald. Лысый парень. So how do you say bald guy in Russian? Лысый парень. Лысый парень. In штанах, but by itself, штаны is pants. You already know брюки, right? Брюки. Брюки is pants, but штаны is it's more generic. It's usually for sports type. It's like generic classical sports, all kind of pants. But брюки is usually more common, at least according to the internet, for official events like a trouser, right? Like part of a suit. So брюки, I guess I pictured like a blue-black trouser, and штаны is just a regular pants that I'm gonna wear to go practice wrestling or something. All right, next are some phrases. Я выгляжу как. I look like. Interestingly, the object you're putting at the end is still in nominative form, so you're not gonna say я выгляжу как собаку. You're gonna say я выгляжу как собака. I just look like a dog. Я выгляжу как дурак. I look like a fool. So yeah, just get into the habit of starting to say, oh, я выгляжу как. Я выгляжу как. Я выгляжу как. Я выгляжу как. I look like this. I look like that, etc. Ну что же. Ну что же. Ну что же. Start mastering the shrug when you start saying ну что же. Because you're really shrugging, right? It's oh well. It's just oh well in Russian. Ну что же. Oh, you failed the exam? Ну что же. Oh well. Ну что же. Okay. Here's the most important, probably the most important takeaway from this first segment here. It's the творительный падеж, right? The instrumental case, which apparently Yandex translate as the creative case. I'm not sure if that's right, but творительный падеж is the instrumental. And we probably already know, like, instrumental, we see signs of it ending in om. And, but do you know in Russian, people don't say, oh, talking to someone. They think of it as talking with someone, right? And if we're doing something with, it's a tool, right? It's going to be instrumental. Because in Russian, if you're doing something with, you're doing that thing as a tool. So you're not talking to someone, like a accusative, I guess, you might suppose if you're in English brain, but you're actually talking with someone. So instead of saying like oh кого ты убил кого, like accusative, like oh who did you kill, right, as an object, you're killing with them, right? And the biggest the biggest indicator that we're doing instrumental case is we're using that preposition s, right? That really Russian s. It's not like you're not talking to him, you're talking with him. So therefore, when you ask, oh, how do I talk to somebody? How do I think of it as how do I play with somebody, right? You're playing with them as a tool. Как играть с кем-то. So the кто becomes кем. Как играть с кем-то. How do I play with someone? Как заговорить с кем-то, right? How do I talk with someone? It's no longer talk to someone, it's talking with someone. So the кто becomes кем. Как заговорить с кем-то. And because of that s, it's a really easy way to remember. Oh, s before кто immediately becomes с кем. Как заговорить с кем-то. How do I talk to somebody? How do I talk with somebody? Okay, quiz time. How do you say I look like a dog? Я выгляжу как собака. How do I say I look like a fox? Я выгляжу как лиса. Now this is interesting because Yandex translates badass as крутой парень, cool boy. So, but let's just use the Anglicanization of badass in Russian here. How do you say I look like a badass? Я выгляжу как badass. Yeah, just start going around, walking on the street, talking to yourself, and going like, oh, я выгляжу как шпион. I look like a spy. Я выгляжу как badass. I look so cool. What is the word that's a synonym of брюки? That's right, штаны. Right? It's the pants that are more generic. Штаны. Штаны. How do you say bald guy? Bald dude. Лысый парень. Лысый парень. Perhaps think of a dude named Lysy, who's unfortunate enough to have lost all of his hair follicles. Oh, Lysy, Lysy's a Lysy парень. Lysy is a bald dude. And when we use the s preposition in Russian, the s preposition, what case is this? That's right, it's the instrumentive case. But in Russian, that's the творительный падеж. You're just going to have to remember that. Творительный падеж. Right? And we are not talking to somebody, we're talking with somebody in Russian. So the кто becomes кем, с кем-то. Как заговорить с кем-то. How to talk to someone. Как заговорить с кем-то. How do we say available in Russian? Доступный. Доступный. So this translation can also mean available or accessible. So the way you think of available, right? You can't say like this место доступно. That's just wrong, right? We don't say that in Russian. We can't say the seat is available, because доступно is more applied to like abstract, almost like a business-like transaction, like a military, like a report-like thing. Like, oh, оружие доступно. Weapons are available. Think of it like you're a mechanic, you're reporting to the gunner or the driver up front. Oh yeah, оружие доступно. The weapons are available. Or like, oh, this software is available, right, to your company. It's more accessible, and yeah, доступно. It's available. Without further ado, let's go back to me pretending that I'm not reading translated Russian over the video. Old school RuneScape. Я вернулся. Ну, игра приняла меня за бота, потому что я играю в Китае по VPN и не позвонила мне войти в систему. Идем к эксперту по выживанию. By the way, the nominative version of выживанию is выживание, survival. It is just transformed into dative here, выживанию. Ладно, эксперт по выживанию дал мне рыболовную сеть. Это рыболовная сеть. Я могу увидеть ее, если щелкну по своему инвентарю. Давайте наловим креветок. Просто нажмите на воду здесь, и наш персонаж автоматически начнет использовать рыболовную сеть для ловли рыбы. Посмотрите на эти классические значки навыков в RuneScape. We got a lot to work with here. So let's start with the the 6 main vocabulary words we should take away from this, starting with survival, выживание. Now keep in mind, I'm reading all of these in the nominative, singular, or plural form. Выживание, survival, выживание. Рыболовная сеть, fishing net. Рыболовная сеть. Рыболовная сеть. Инвентарь, inventory. Инвентарь, инвентарь. Креветок. That's a singular shrimp. But nobody really refers to a singular shrimp when we say, oh, I like eating shrimp, you know, like, oh, I want the shrimp dish. We're going to say креветки for a multiple shrimp in nominative form. Креветки. Креветки. Креветок, креветки, креветок, креветки. Значок. This is the singular for symbol. Значок. But the icons or like skill pictures will be значки. Значки. This is different from the Russian Orthodox word for icony, right? Like Orthodox Church icons, icony. This is just значки. Like it could be for UI, for video game icons or skills. And finally, skill навык, навыки. Навык, навыки. Навык, навыки. Now, one of the biggest takeaways for me here is the дательный падеж, дательный, which is dative case. So in dative case, we think of it as like the given case, right? But it's the one who gets the giving, the one who's receiving, right? That's how you remember, it's not the book, like the actual object that's being given. It's the person who receives the book. The я даю книгу другу. Другу here is the dative, right? Другу, because he's the one receiving the object. So that's why we need to understand that in Russian, when we think of expert по выживанию, this preposition here, по, which is ubiquitous and is very dangerous just to think that it's only for dative. But usually, most often, it is used to precede a dative case. So the выживание becomes modified into dative, выживанию, thanks to the prefix по here. So the Russians think of it as like a field of, right, concerning, like he's expert of the field survival. Same thing with the inventory sentence right there, where it's where the nominative inventar becomes inventariu. This is dative. This is not accusative. Just because it ends in u, that's just how we modify certain nominatives ending the soft sign into u for dative. Because again, he's saying своему inventar по своему, that, right? That preposition по is modifying that. It's responsible for turning inventar into dative. There are more useful phrases for inventar. Положи это в мой инвентарь. Put it in my inventory. Положи это в мой инвентарь. The accusative for inventar is the same as nominative, because when you're putting something inside something, that something becomes a accusative. And что у меня в инвентаре? В инвентаре, that's prepositional. You're asking what's inside the inventory. So it becomes, you add the e at the end. В инвентаре. Now, when I say он подарил мне рыболовную сеть, right? We can tell рыболовную, it's been modified. It's рыболовная сеть. The nominative, it became accusative, actually, because it's the direct object here, right? He's giving me the fish net. And since me, I'm the indirect object, I'm the recipient, me becomes мне, which is the dative form. I absolutely despise the translation direct object and indirect object in English grammar. I don't think it makes any sense. Like it takes my brain a few seconds to actually understand what the heck is a direct object. So I like to think of direct object as the object being given, right? And the indirect object is the recipient. I like to write that in all caps. Oh, the dative case is the recipient. The object being given is the accusative here. So рыболовная сеть, nominative, becomes accusative once it's given into рыболовную сеть. Now, if you're actually looking at your screen, you'll see a picture of креветки, right? Because it's plural shrimp. There's multiple shrimp here. It's not креветка. I can't really think of an example where you would be using креветка in daily life, unless you're saying, oh, give me that кусок креветка. Just give me that piece of shrimp. But when I use the sentence давайте наловим креветок, креветок here is the modified, it's the genitive version of креветки, because the verb наловим, right, instead of just love it has that the nuance наловим. We're going to be that prefix there is it implies that we're going to be capturing a huge quantity of креветки, right? And because quantity usually evokes the genitive case, therefore the noun креветки also becomes modified to agree with that genitive case. It's going to become креветки becomes креветок. All right, it's quiz time. How do you say skills as in plural? Skills. Навыки. 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 How do you say inventory? Inventory. Инвентарь. 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 How do you say fishing net? Рыболовная сеть. Рыболовная сеть. Рыболовная сеть. And how do you say survival in Russian? Survival. Выживание. 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 And how do you say icons? Such as icons on your desktop. Remember, this is plural, not the singular version of this. Значки. 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 И, наконец, мы начинаем рубить дерево. Я рублю дерево топором. Какой приятный ностальгический звук, не так ли? По моему мнению, самый явный показатель гринда – это рубка деревьев. А теперь мы соединим труд с дровами, чтобы развести огонь. Разведение огня – очень полезный навык, как в игре, так и в реальной жизни. Если бы только в реальной жизни было так просто развести огонь. А сейчас я готовлю креветки на огне. Опачки, у меня погорели креветки. Okay, so we got 5 vocabulary words / phrases. Let's start with the easiest one, Topor. What does Topor mean? It means axe, like a wood cutting axe to cut trees. Topor. Topor. What do we use a topor for? To rubить дерево. So, the nominative form for tree in Russian is дерево, and the accusative form is also дерево, just a fun fact. So just remember the infinitive to cut trees, рубить дерево. You're turning that invisible nominative into accusative, to cut a tree, рубить дерево. If you're saying I am cutting a tree, you're going to say я рублю дерево, which is like a tongue twister for us Americans because рублю, it sounds like люблю, as in love. So I guess think of a Rubik's Cube. Like, think of a freaking Rubik's Cube when you're trying to say, oh, I love a Rubik's Cube when cutting a tree. Я рублю дерево. And the next word is an adjective, ностальгический. Pretty long word, but you're going to be using this a lot when you're playing RuneScape. Ностальгический feeling. What a ностальгический song. What a ностальгический game. Ностальгический. So the next phrase is по моему мнению. По моему мнению. So if this phrase, in my opinion, has no longer been in your muscle memory for learning basic Russian phrases, it should. But fun fact, моему мнению, these two words for my and opinion, right? They've been modified into dative. And this is just a reminder on the earlier lesson on по, because of dative, right? Because the dative case is almost always indicated by the prefix по. And finally, развести огонь. Развести огонь. To start a fire. And vraz here, it's the prefix of vraz usually means like you're about to spread something, you're going to start something, you're going to spread that fire, right? You can also say создать огонь, but I think it's more simple. It sounds like you're just saying make fire, like a caveman. Oh, создать огонь, make fire. Развести just sounds cooler. Развести огонь. Now, fire making is actually called разжигание огня. разжигание огня. Fire making. If you're just referring to the noun as a skill, разжигание огня level. But yeah, развести огонь. Okay, quiz time. How do you say axe? Axe. Топор. 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 How do you say to cut trees? To cut trees. Рубить дерево. Рубить дерево. How do you say I'm cutting a tree? Я рублю дерево. Я рублю дерево. How do you say the adjective nostalgic? Nostalgic. Ностальгический. 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 How do you say in my opinion? And also, what case is it? In my opinion. По моему мнению. Dative case. По моему мнению. По моему мнению. And how do you say start a fire? Развести огонь. Развести огонь. Или создать огонь. And extra credit, how do you say fire making as a skill? Like just the noun. Fire making. Разжигание огня. Огня. Разжигание огня. Разжигание огня. Разжигание огня. Теперь мы познакомимся с поваром. Окей, мы смешиваем муку с водой, чтобы заместить тесто. Затем мы запекаем муку в духовке, чтобы испечь хлеб. Всегда казалось, что хлеб в этой игре выглядит очень аппетитно. В детстве я ел картофельный хлеб и представлял, что это хлеб из RuneScape. Поскольку у нас нет дрожжей, технически мы готовим бездрожжевый хлеб. Например, пластфора. Alright, we're just gonna talk over the sped up video here because the next part is pretty boring. But there's 3 vocabulary main takeaways from here. And they are мука, испечь хлеб, and дрожжи. I'm just gonna say them out loud. And thanks to Duolingo, you probably know мука for flour, right? Мука. Sounds very similar to муха for fly, but мука is flour. Мука. 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 And to bake bread is испечь хлеб. But sometimes it can be shortened to печь хлеб. Испечь хлеб. Испечь хлеб. Испечь хлеб. And yeast is always plural because, you know, no one has a singular grain of yeast. But yeah, in nominative plural, yeast is дрожжи. 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 In the sentence I used, I said у меня нет дрожжей, like negative, which is, you know, genitive. Anytime we're using the negative, like I don't have something, like I don't have any quantities of, it's going to be genitive, so it becomes дрожжей. Okay, quick quiz. How do you say bake bread? Bake bread. Испечь хлеб. Испечь хлеб. And how do you say flour? Мука. Мука. And how do you say yeast? Дрожжи. Дрожжи. Cool. Давай спустимся по лестнице. Here, let's just pay attention to the verb спустимся. You're going to be using this regardless if you're climbing down something or you're just descending stairs, for example. Давай спустимся вниз. Let's just climb down. Just an abstract idea. Итак, мы собираемся заняться майнингом. And I guess if you're just trying to say mining in RuneScape, it's mining. Like a cognate. У меня есть кирка. С киркой я могу начать добывать руду. Вот несколько оловянных руд. Мне нравится звук, с которым кирка удирается о камень. Это медные руды. Okay, no mercy, just a quiz right away. How do you say go down? Like the motion verb to go down. Спустимся. Спустимся. And again, we can use this for climbing down a ladder or just going down the stairs. We're just going down in general. Спустимся. This is for multiple people, of course. This is plural. How do you say pickaxe? Pickaxe. Кирка. 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 And how do we say the phrase to mine ores? Like we're going to mine ores. Добывать в руду. Добывать в руду. Добывать в руду. And how do we say tin and copper? Or copper and tin, because my English brain wants to say copper and tin. But tin and copper is going to be олово и медь. And be very careful, alright? It's медь and not мёд, because without the soft sign, because usually in digital Russian, they're not going to put the two dots. Without the soft sign, it's just honey, right? It's мёд. It's read, honey is мёд. But with the soft sign, it's медь, as in copper. And for copper and tin, since you're an English speaker, it's going to be медь and олово. Медь и олово. And when we resume the gameplay, we'll see a example of us saying copper and tin. But pop quiz, how do you say axe in Russian? Axe. Топор. Теперь давайте объединим медь и олово в бронзовые слитки. Он протягивает мне молоток. Мы можем делать оружие на накование. Yeah, that was too mean earlier. Let's just do a quick review of these three words. Протягивает. Протягивает, молоток, and накование. So протягивает, right? It's I want you to think of this verb as it's commonly used in transactional situations, right? Because it metaphorically means to give someone, but physically you had to picture a seller, like a boss, extending his hand. Like he's stretching out his hand to give you the goods, or you're stretching out your hand to give out the money. Протягивает. Right? It's definitely more. It paints a more physical picture than just dal, like just to give. Протягивает. Next is молоток, which is hammer. I guess think of a Moloch Baal from Skyrim or something. Just think of that hammer of justice, or the extremely deadly hammer, молоток. And nakovanya, you just need to memorize this. Nakovanya, anvil. You just need to know what an anvil is in Russian. Nakovanya. And the example I used was a preposition na nakovanye, but yeah, nakovanya is the nominative version. So quiz, how do you say give? Give. Протягивает. Протягивает. Как экипировать оружие? And I'm just a fan of these how-to sentences. Just repeat эпикировать 5 times. Эпикировать, 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 эпикировать. To remember that tongue twisting for equip. Он дает мне меч и щит. And sword and shield is such a common phrase in English, right? But it's sometimes you might forget the word shield. So just remember this phrase. Now, my brain wants to think honey and poop. Because меч sounds like мёд in my still newly learning Russian brain. honey and poop. That's a good way to remember, in my opinion. Just honey and poop, sword and shield. If you ever forget the vocabulary for either sword or shield, just think honey and poop. Мёд и beep. Мёд, меч и poop. Poop. Sheet. Yeah, that's it. Меч и sheet. Sword and shield. Существуют различные типы атак. Мы будем атаковать ударом, потому что это наиболее точно. Now, I asked my Russian friend Fat Pavel, and he told me that there's really no Russian singular word for stab, right? Because the word for hit, udar, is the same as a stab. Like if you're looking just like the sign, the icon for stabbing and the attack, like a значок, the значок, right? We learned this earlier. The sign, like the symbol for stabbing, would probably just be translated as udar, as in to hit, to strike. So striking and hitting is the same as stabbing, I guess, in the Russian psyche. However, you are going to see me use a verb for specifically for stabbing or pricking something with a gigantic weapon later. Я протыкаю эту гигантскую крысу своим бронзовым мечом. So протыкаю is it's present tense from first person, right? I'm doing a piercing. So the infinitive form of this verb протыкать, it usually implies piercing, right, with a sharp weapon. Протыкать, whereas удар can mean anything, right? It's like a strike, like usually with a blunt object. So I guess you can say протыкать is a better verb than удар just for stabbing. Он дает мне лук и несколько стрел. Okay, лук и стрела. This is another phrase so ubiquitous in combat English, right? Bow and arrow. Just like меч и щит, just like sword and shield, bow and arrow is something you absolutely need in your repertoire, especially for combat, right? Especially for RPG games, you need to know how to say bow and arrow, right? I'm a warrior, I fight with меч и щит, but as a ranger, I fight with лук и стрела. So just remember that, лук и стрела, лук и стрела, лук и стрела. Теперь я издеваюсь над гигантской крысой, стреляя в нее издалека. Alright, and the verb издеваться, it's to bully, to mock or scoff. I'm not sure if this is the best translation in Yandex Translate. It seems to be mostly bullying with a verbal, but yeah, just you should know the verb for bullying, right? Издеваться. Издеваться. Ладно, давай поднимемся по лестнице. Поднимемся. So just by itself, it means to, let's go up, right? Together, let's go up. It could mean you're climbing up a ladder, you're literally just abstractly going upwards. Давай поднимемся наверх. Let's just go up. Поднимемся itself is more than enough to indicate that you're trying to go up together. It's the perfect opposite to what we just learned earlier, спустимся, to go down, right? What's the opposite of поднимемся? Спустимся. Ладно, давайте побежимся по банкам. Потому что у меня, как у новичка, ничего нет. Alright, pop quiz, let's just jump back a bit. How do you say yeast? Remember, it's plural yeast. Дрожжи. 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 How do you say axe? Axe, as in something to cut a tree with. Axe. Топор. Топор. How do you say nostalgic? The adjective nostalgic. And how do you say inventory? This is the genitive form, inventory. To say inventory, it is inventar. Inventar. And how do you say pickaxe? Pickaxe, to mine. Кирка. 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 And how do you say fishing net? A fishing net to catch shrimp with. Рыболовная сеть. Рыболовная сеть. Рыболовная сеть. And how do we say available? Available. How do we say something is available? Доступный. 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 Cool. Мне нравится, как наш персонаж сразу называет монаха братом. По умолчанию в RuneScape авантюристы религиозные. Это происходит потому, что молитвы дают пассивные усиления. There are two words we must remember from the prayer activity in RuneScape. One is monach, as in monk, and пассивный эффект. So the translation I had was пассивные усиления. It's the same meaning as пассивный эффект. Whether, whichever one is more comfortable for you, усиления or effect, they mean the same thing. So, монах and пассивный эффект. И тут я немного заблудился. Okay, I was not a little bit lost. I was mega lost. I was wandering the entire freaking island. I thought that the game was glitched. I couldn't see the objective on my mini-map. I was trying to zoom in and out. But yeah, the verb we must know here is заблудился, right? It means physically lost. And you could say я заблудился или он заблудился. Like either way, the za indicates it's a completion of action, right? Like, dude, this guy is definitely totally lost. Like, I'm lost, he's lost. It's a very useful word, right? It's a great vocab for any game where you can't find your teammates or your friend. You're like, yo, я заблудился. I can't see anyone. I don't know where I am without the map, etc. Я заблудился. I'm lost. Okay, we are almost done. But really quickly, before we get to the next section, quick quiz. How do you say equip, as in equip weapon, to equip? Hint, it sounds like epic. Эпикировать. Эпикировать. Nice. Yeah, it's kind of a tongue twister. You just gotta keep repeating it. Эпикировать. Волшебник дал мне несколько рун. Pop quiz. What else could this wizard have used instead of дал меня? Instead of just giving me? What's the verb we just learned? To give. Протягал. Я использую одно магическое заклинание на цыпленке. Alright, the most annoying word and probably the most useful word in the magic section is магическое заклинание. And the emphasis on the магическое and the заклинание. So магическое заклинание. Magic spell. Just say it over and over. I know there's a lot of syllables, but you have to know this phrase in any fantasy game, right? Магическое заклинание. Магическое заклинание. Magic spell. Магическое заклинание. Магическое заклинание. Alright, we finally finished the tutorial. To my Russian viewers, I want to say спасибо, что посмотрели. It was probably really boring for you. This video was still just an experiment to see if rambling to myself and playing an interesting game is a effective way to learn Russian vocabulary and phrases. Now there's just under 40 vocabulary words and phrases in this one video. I will list them out in the video description. And I think the best way to test oneself of these words and phrases is to input the words into an AI software like ChatGPT and ask it to generate a fill-in-the-blank quiz, or just to generate some form of a testing material for yourself so you can drill these words and phrases into your brain. So yeah, thanks for watching, and that's pretty much it.